1492, and would now ask that we get a staff briefing on Substitute House Bill 1586 from Ms. Walker and Mr. Patton. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. This is Corey Patton, Staff to Community Safety, Justice, and Reentry, here to give the policy briefing on Substitute House Bill 1586, which is the bill that requires the Criminal Justice Training Commission to establish a work group and a grant program that are both related to vehicular pursuits by law enforcement. For brief context, a vehicular pursuit is currently defined as an attempt by a uniformed peace officer in a vehicle equipped with emergency lights and a siren to stop a moving vehicle where the operator appears to be aware that the officer is signaling for the stop and is willfully resisting or ignoring that attempt. State law imposes a number of restrictions on the circumstances where an officer may engage in a vehicular pursuit, as well as additional requirements on how such pursuits must be conducted. As mentioned, House Bill 1586 specifically requires the CJTC to first convene a work group by June 30th, 2023 to develop legislative policy recommendations related to pursuits by law enforcement. The bill specifies particular stakeholders that are required to participate in the group, and it also specifies specific issues that the work group must consider when developing those recommendations. The CJTC must submit its reports containing those recommendations by December 1st, 2023. Second, the bill requires the CJTC to develop and implement a vehicular pursuits technology grant program by October 31st, 2023, for the purpose of providing modern pursuit management technology to local law enforcement agencies. Examples of such technology included in the bill are global positioning system tracking technology, or GPS, automated license plate reading technology, and non-armed, non-armored drone technology. The CJTC must establish policies for applications and criteria for selecting grant recipients, and grants must be awarded to local agencies based on proposals which include requests for specific technology, as well as a plan for the implementation and use of that technology. To affect the bill does contain an emergency clause which takes effect on June 30th, 2023. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Walker.
Thank you.
Again, for the record, I'm Yvonne Walker, staff to this committee. The bill requires the Criminal Justice Training Commission to convene a work group to develop legislative policy recommendations relating to vehicle pursuits and to develop a vehicle pursuit technology grant program. The cost to hire a contractor to lead that work group expenses related to staff travel, and to hire a grant manager totals $409,000 in the 23-25 biennium and $244,000 in each subsequent biennium thereafter. The expenditure impact or cost for the vehicular pursuit technology grants themselves is indeterminate, as the funding is unknown and would be subject to appropriation. Lastly, the State Patrol is on the list of stakeholders that must be represented on the vehicle pursuit work group. The State Patrol assumes an estimated cost of $15,000 to participate on that work group. The total fiscal impact across all agencies is estimated to be $425,000 during the 23-25 biennium and $244,000 per biennium thereafter. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you both very much. Are there any questions for Ms. Walker or Mr. Patton? Representative Slatter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm just really curious about the technology. What is contemplated in terms of the technologies that are in here? You mentioned a few, but I'm just wondering, is there any sort of outreach to see with universities, or I don't know, where the technologies might be developed?
So the three examples that I mentioned, the GPS, license plate reading, and drone technology, are examples that are provided in the bill, but the bill is open-ended as to which technology can be applied for. And the bill is not specific as to where that list originated from.
Thank you. Any other questions for our nonpartisan policy and fiscal staff? Thank you both very much. We'll now go to public testimony. Representative Gregerson.
Thank you. So let's bring forward in person Paul Benz, Mark Johnson, James McMahon, and online we'll go with Kristen Eng, Martina Morris, and Jennifer Lee. Paul, when you're ready.
I'll start the clock yet.
Please get to introduce yourself, Reverend Benz.
Chair Ormsby, Ranking Member Stokesbury, committee members, I'm Paul Benz, testifying in support of Substitute House Bill 1586 for the Washington Coalition for Police Accountability, the WCPA. The WCPA has worked with the Criminal Justice Training Commission staff and its directors for many years. We have worked for example, on Senate Bill 5051 that strengthened the commission by bringing community members to serve on that commission. We worked to pass House Bill 1054 in 2021 on vehicular pursuits and believe that the law is working and saving lives. We do not support House Bill 1363 that rolls back current law, which needs more time to work. We believe that the best path forward is 1586, which will bring law enforcement and members of the community to the table to have the hard conversations and bring a recommendation back to the 24 legislature. We did that with the Canine Task Force from 1054 2 years ago, and we can do it again. Setting up this work group is a wise investment of our state dollars. The WCPA urges you to move 1586 forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benz. Rep. Gregerson?
Thank you, Mark.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Mark Johnson, representing the Washington Retail Association. Public safety, retail theft, organized retail crime are my members' #1 issue this year. The safety of our employees, the safety of our customers that come in our stores is paramount. We believe that this legislation is a step in the right direction by providing very important information on vehicle pursuits. We would commend the bill to you, but we would also add that we think that action is needed this year. My colleague mentioned 1363. We do support that legislation, and we think it could be bolstered to include property crimes. But we do commend this bill to you as part of a solution, not the solution in its entirety, but we do need action this year. I would ask the legislature and this committee to move that forward. Thank you very much.
Mr. Johnson. Rep. Gregerson?
Thank you. James?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'm James McMahon, Policy Director with the Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs. We've signed and opposed to this bill today. We believe that any bill addressing vehicular pursuits needs to fix the problem. We are concerned that this bill allows the unacceptable to continue for another year or possibly 2. We will note the legislature did not require a study or a work group to enact the vehicular pursuit statutes that we struggle with today, and we don't think another study is required before you fix it.
Thank you, Mr. McMahon. Rep. Gregerson?
Thank you. Let's go to our testifiers online. Kristen?
Good afternoon. I'm Kristen Eng, Policy Director for Faith Action Network, here to testify in support of House Bill 1586. This bill is one of the best investments of funds for public safety this legislative session. The bill would help establish a model vehicular pursuit policy that is clear, effective, and safe, with stakeholder buy-in, while also investing in modern pursuit technology. Vehicular pursuits are not the one-size-fits-all solution to our current public safety needs, but it does play a role. We can strategize and make it more effective by setting up a deliberative stakeholder process, doing research and data gathering, and investing in technology to better identify and apprehend subjects of a crime. The work group should be inclusive and consist of law enforcement, community organizations, academics, researchers in criminal justice and transportation safety, and experts in police tactics. This way, we can properly identify the problems, impacts, and come up with substantive data-driven solutions. Preliminary evidence suggests the current law is saving lives by decreasing fatalities, but we need more data. Vehicular pursuits are inherently dangerous to both the public and our officers, and this is why we must employ the best policies, methods, and technologies. This can be achieved through House Bill 1586. Please support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eng. Representative Gregerson?
Thank you. Martina?
Ms. Morris, I think we're missing a microphone. There we go.
I think I got it. Sorry about that.
No worries.
It's been a long afternoon. So good afternoon, Chair Ormsby and members of the committee. My name is Martina Morris, and I'm testifying pro on this bill on behalf of the Washington Coalition for Police Accountability and Next Steps Washington. I suspect you've noticed that data are often referred to in our current debates over the 2021 state pursuit policy, either to support or refute claims about the effects of this policy. In general, I think this has been a good thing. It's helped to show that police pursuits have many different impacts on public safety and on community budgets. I also think this spirited discussion shows a real shared interest in the value of evidence-based assessments of the risks and benefits that must be balanced in any pursuit policy. So I'm asking you to consider an amendment that we have proposed to this bill, which modifies section 1.3 to clarify that pursuit data are a necessary part of any model pursuit policy. Our amended language recommends that the work group consider 3 broad categories of information. The first is to review the statewide pursuit policies in every state and the model policies proposed by leading organizations. This is much like what's in the bill currently. But we would also like them to review the statewide pursuit data programs in every state to understand how they're using their data, and survey all of the law enforcement agencies here in Washington state to see what data they currently collect on pursuits. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Representative Gregerson?
Thank you. Jennifer?
Chair Ormsby, Ranking Member Stokes-Ferry, members of the committee. My name is Jennifer Lee, and I lead the technology policy work at the ACLU of Washington. While we support the creation of a work group as a reasonable way to consider recommendations that address vehicle pursuits, we have strong concerns about Section 2, which creates a fund for surveillance technology such as GPS tracking technology, automated license plate readers, and drones. We recommend removing Section 2. Surveillance technology does not guarantee safety. In fact, surveillance creates a safety threat in and of itself. A long history of surveillance establishes a close connection between increasing surveillance infrastructure and exacerbating racial bias in policing. Surveillance tools have always disproportionately harmed the most marginalized communities in our society, whether or not those tools were designed to do so. From the use of IBM census tabulating machine to track and incarcerate Japanese Americans during World War II, to the use of ALPRs to surveil the Muslim community after 9/11, surveillance tools in the hands of police have always powered systemic racism and injustice. At a bare minimum, we recommend adding guardrails to the Vehicle Pursuit Technology Grant Program to help mitigate the threats to people's privacy and civil liberties posed by surveillance technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Representative Gregerson?
That's it for the testifiers on this
Thank
bill.
you. And I think we may have a question from Representative Chambers for staff. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. The testimony in the bill summary said that this would study, vehicular pursuits, but would it include studying the, innocent bystander deaths that are caused when law enforcement is not able to pursue, or does that need to be explicitly spelled out in the bill?
First, I would encourage referring to the body of the bill, which does break down a number of particular factors that need to be considered by the work group. One of those factors is the potential for harm or potential danger to others if the fleeing individual evades or escapes custody, and then also safety factors that pose a risk to officers, other motorists, pedestrians, and other third parties. So some of that may encompass what you're contemplating, but I would, again, refer to the bill for the specifics.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patton. And that will conclude the public testimony and the public hearing on 1586.